All right, my friends, fifth quarter here. Chad Doing and my man Chris Burkhart with you on a Friday night on a very bizarre day in Trailblazer land. Telephone number here at the fifth quarter is 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. Or you can reach out on Twitter at Chad and Rip City. We are also streaming live on YouTube. So if you want to get a glimpse behind the scenes, I encourage you to check it out. Go to youtube.com and punch in Rip City Radio. You'll find our homepage right there. You can always click to subscribe, and the live link is right there. Click the live link, and then boom, you're in. You're checking things out in the studio, and you can participate in the YouTube chat if you so desire. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number, 503-248-0620. Chris and I talked about this. There's a lot of different ways we can go with the program tonight. We can talk about the game if you want, although I really don't think that's where it's at in terms of all of the content. I think the real story today has to do with, what we found out in regards to the trade deadline, the Joe Cronin press conference, and the controversy surrounding one Gary Payton II. And we'll get into that. But here's the latest. Let me give you those details right now. We'll get to the game. All you need to know is the Thunder have a lot of talent. They're young, explosive. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a budding superstar. And what we saw there was a fourth quarter where the Blazers were up 112-103 with just over 10 minutes to play after an ant three. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom! The Thunder on a 33-9 run just put the game away. Not a lot of defense played tonight. The Blazers very sloppy with the basketball, 20 turnovers, which led to 28 points for the Thunder. And we've seen that story before. Right now the Trailblazers are basically a mess. They are reliant upon shot making. They don't protect the basketball. They're very poor defensively. And their lineup is in flux right now because of the trade deadline and Josh Hart being moved out to New York. But the big story today came from the Gary Payton situation. And I want to read these two tweets from you that came out from Shams. And I would love your take on this situation. First off, this came out about 5 hours ago. Shams said, just in, a failed physical exam of Gary Payton II has placed the Golden State, Portland, Detroit, Atlanta four-team deal in serious jeopardy. Sources tell me and Anthony Slater Payton's core muscle injury could sideline him for up to 3 months following a Warriors exam. That's weird because he played in the game against the Warriors on Wednesday night at Moda, but now he's going to be out 3 months. He also went on to say the Warriors have until Saturday, tomorrow, to go through with the trade or have the entire four-team deal rescinded. Golden State acquired Payton at the trade deadline on Thursday. Now, if you go deeper into the report from The Athletic, it's pretty bizarre because they suggest that Portland withheld information that could have been important before the deal was made in terms of his injury. In fact, I want to read that to you right now because it is a bit strange. And I know some details about Gary Payton II, so I'm suspicious on the whole thing. But let me read this to you right now. The Warriors ruled him, Payton, as a failed physical today, Friday, and have until Saturday to go through with the deal as a technical pass of the physical or rescind the entire trade. This was a surprise revelation to the Warriors during the intake process. There have been behind-the-scenes discussions on Friday about the possibility of amendments to the trade or a full reversal of the deal. The amount of parties involved, 4 teams, 4 players complicate matters. Payton, according to sources, had been playing through pain in Portland. Sources added that the Blazers training staff had been pushing him to gut through it, giving him Toradol shots. This had not been relayed to the Warriors during the negotiation process. Now, Joe Cronin, in regards to that, said player safety is super important to us. It's a super important thing around the league. We were playing him. He had been cleared, and we were confident that he was healthy when he was playing. We would not have brought him back if we thought he wasn't healthy or if we thought he was at risk. You trust that you did the right thing, and you trust that our process was correct. And these reports, I think if you knew our clearance process was proper, so I will have to rely on that. So there you go. that's the latest with that situation. We've got clips from Joe Cronin in regards to the trade deadline, which a lot of Trailblazer fans are very happy about. And the Blazers take the loss tonight at home to the Oklahoma City Thunder. My man Chris Burkhardt is here. What's up, Burkhardt? Nice to see your pretty face on this Friday evening. Yeah. Craziness today.
Just a wild few days. I mean, last fifth quarter, we started the show with breaking Kevin Durant news, right?
That's right.
Then you get on today. I come in and Preston's in the chair, but you're like, hey, ask Burkhardt. He'll help you move some breaks around. We got to figure this out. We got to go long. Game day didn't start till a half hour later because you had a Cronin press conference, which was a big enough news, right? Just the Cronin press conference was big enough news because, we get to hear from the GM. And then all of a sudden, GM, how about GP? Like, here we go.
Incredible. Let's start with this. What's your take on the whole Gary Payton II thing? Where do you come out on this? Because what's bizarre to me, Burkhardt, is that I know from people who work inside the organization, I know people who have nothing to do with the organization. There's a lot of bad things floating around about Gary Payton II. In regards to the team, I do know that he frustrated teammates. He frustrated the organization in regards to the injury and how he handled it. And he took a beating over the last 24 hours in regards to reputation leaving Portland. And you can tell by interactions that how much his teammates didn't particularly care for him. So I wonder if a lot of this coming out today from The Athletic is agent work, right? You always remind me that when Woj puts something out, it's normally coming from general managers. When Shams puts something out, it usually comes from agents. This report came from Shams. I believe it's probably a Gary Payton II agent type thing to put out there to try and do some damage control. That's what it feels like, because I'll tell you what, with the way things work in the league and the way that you've got to have relationships to get things done, I find it very hard to believe that the Trailblazers would withhold critical injury information in regards to a player in any deal. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I do find that one hard to believe, especially with how quickly word gets around. You feel that, people would know. This one screams to me, having watched enough deals go down, this one just screams to me of a player whose image was a little bit tarnished from his time in Portland. And here's the thing. Like, you can say that you know people, Chad, and you've heard some stuff behind the scenes, as have I, and I can tell you for a fact you and I, our sources aren't the same person, which is interesting because that means it's coming from multiple places, right? But then it's coming from Chris Haynes in his article. It's coming from other reporters. Like, there's a lot of people sourcing it. So again, the image was tarnished, and this is an agent doing exactly what an agent should do. All right. So people are going to knock a GP's agent if that's the case, but no, like, this is what an agent should do. It's protect your client. So now you got out of there. And when you got out of there, knowing full well that Golden State's probably still going to let this deal go through, you try to throw some of it back on Portland. So it's like, oh, no, it wasn't GP. It was Portland who did this. So now, the S is hitting the fan, but it's coming down and it's Portland's fault. And you're trying to tarnish Portland in the process.
Yeah, from everyone I've spoken with, Gary Payton II was nothing but a giant pain in the ass for the organization. That's the way I read it. That's what I've been told, that they were very happy to see him leave town. So much so they shipped him back to Golden State, for crying out loud.
Absolutely, and here's the deal, too, Chad. Fans remember it when he said at the beginning of the year, basically, oh, yeah, I couldn't pass up the money. There wasn't I wanted to play in Portland, I wanted to come here. I couldn't pass up the money. He took the money and he ran.
It sure looks like, it feels like he got the money from Portland and did everything within his power to get out of Portland and back to the Bay Area. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. That's what it smells like. And that's where we're at with him. I'm not down with the guy. I don't like the way he handled his business here in Portland. Now, how is this going to end up? I think the trade will go through, don't you? And the Warriors will try to get, something in return. Maybe one of those second-round picks back, maybe a couple of them. They'll try to negotiate something, but I expect it to go through. I mean, even if he's got to have the procedure, then they still have him for 3 more years, right? So they're fine.
Not only that, Chad, they freed up like $10 million in this deal. I mean, there's still a hefty cap that they have to deal with, but they saved money by doing these deals.
Yeah, it's the same reason why Wiseman's gone. It was more of a financial
Yeah,
cost
and
because
so-
of their luxury tax penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. So for them, Chad, keeping him still makes sense because you save money on your taxes. He's going to be healthy, hopefully, by next year, and now you got your guy. This is leverage play, right, though? So now Golden State can say, okay, well, you were getting 5 second-round picks. We're going to retool some stuff, and now you're only getting 3, right? Or we want a pick or whatever it is to retool this deal and make it work.
503-248-0620 is your telephone number. The way they worded it, too, what else is weird is they mentioned the Toradol, right? Like, it's not uncommon for players to take shots and to use pain medication to deal with pain. Guys
Not
do it
at
all the time.
all.
It's not uncommon, right?
Not at all. How often do you hear so-and-so got a cortisone shot? like the painkillers and all that is prevalent in the sports world. I've actually seen some people talking to me who have taken Toradol too, and they're like, yeah, it's an anti-inflammatory, and it wasn't that big of a deal when I had to take it. So, again, it's interesting. This all just screams of an agent trying to save face and clean up his client's image, which, again, if that's the case, can't blame him because that's what an agent should do.
You know what was interesting at the press conference today was Cronin. He didn't shut the door on a potential playing of the younger players and making a push towards the draft lottery. He's like, hey, I don't see that right now, but if you hit a skid or you go through a slump and then you look at a situation where you may want to get youngsters experience, he didn't close the door on that. They're open to a lot of different things right now.
Well, here's the thing.
I didn't expect him to say that. I thought he'd be like, oh, no, we're all in on making a push for the postseason.
Yeah, and I feel that, but I am team anti-tank. I am firmly always team anti-tank. I don't think tanking is good for culture. I don't like it. Also, people can say trust the process. Look at Philly. Well, Philly is, they're one of the best teams in the East, but have they got that ring yet to show for it? Like, it's such a crapshoot. I don't like it. I'd rather win. I also think if you get to the playoffs, you limp into the playoffs, lose in the first round, who cares? Free up picks. You got things to deal with. I'm just team anti-tank. If it happens, I'll talk about it. I'll enjoy it because that's my job, right? But when you watch games like this and you're like, oh, Oklahoma City right there in the standings with them, outscore the Blazers by 20 in the final handful of minutes and beat them on their home court. Oh, and yeah, when Portland went to OKC for back-to-back lost those two, you're just like, Portland is not good. This is not good. Like, they have to figure it out. Pick a lane, right? If you want to tank, start tanking now because the winning thing it's not working.
Wow. They gave up 70 points in the paint tonight.
That's a lot.
70 points in the paint. Thunder shot 56% from the field. Yikers. 20 turnovers for the Blazers. And 44 points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Dude, SGA is a baller.
He's a bad boy.
He's so good.
Here's that clip. Take a listen to Joe Cronin on tanking versus missing the playoffs.
I want to see these guys compete. We're trying to build a culture here of, playing hard and competing. And I think we're seeing this. We've seen this a lot this year where night in, night out, these guys are giving it their all. And I thought that was an important first step for us. We have a lot of fine tuning to do in this roster. There's a lot of things I want to change as we refine and get into super duper win now mode. But I want that culture of competitiveness to continue through. Like, these guys go out and do your thing. And I think they're very capable, and I'm really interested to see what this new group has in store.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that we see what happened last year if it gets to a certain point?
It's too soon to say. I think sometimes, those things like guys get injured or whatever, or you just have a bad run and things change and you decide to play some young guys, or you look at certain rotations or whatever. But as currently constructed, the way things are going, I don't foresee that being, paramount in our minds.
All right, there's Cronin not closing the door to tanking. Here he is on our favorite ex-Blazer, Gary Payton II.
Player safety is super important to us. I mean, it's a super important thing around the league. We were playing him. He was playing, and he had been cleared, and we were confident that he was healthy when he was playing. We would not have brought him back if we thought he wasn't healthy or if he was at risk. So you trust that we did the right thing, and you trust that our process was correct. And these reports, I think if you knew the clearance process was proper, so I'll have to rely on that.
He was technically cleared weeks before he played too, right?
Yeah, because we got into a pretty long ramp up where, it's cleared. I don't want to get too deep into this, but quite a ways ahead of him playing. So we did a lot of 1-on-0, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3 build up to get him safely back in a 5-on-5 environment.
Yeah, Gary Payton II's full of crap. That guy's a bum. They were happy to get rid of him. He was bad for the culture. And I noticed Dame didn't exactly go out of his way to say goodbye like he did to Josh Hart.
Think about that. I think that does say something, right? That does say something. You and I have talked about this. You and Dwight have talked about it. Preston's mentioned it. The amount of times that, Ant kind of said something and poked him in a press conference. Dame poked him and said something in a press conference. He wasn't jiving. I'm not buying the fact that he was some major big cancer. I just think this guy's saw a guy that they wanted on the floor and he wasn't giving it to him. And they're like, okay, I can like you on a personal level. I just don't like working with you anymore. You know what I'm saying? And then that's the vibe I was getting. And I feel like you could tell in Joe Cronin's voice there, that's a GM who sounds irritated that his name and the organization's kind of being dragged through the mud here at the moment.
All right, let's keep things rolling here in the fifth quarter. Blazers fall tonight 138 to 129. Give up 70 points in the paint, allow the Thunder to shoot 56% from the floor, turn it over 20 times, and gave up a 33-9 run in the fourth. Outside of that, it was a pretty good night for the Blazers. They're back at it on Monday. Lakers are going to be in town. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can jump on YouTube and join us there. Rip City Radio, the homepage. You'll see the live link. You can check things out in the studio. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for the Nothing But Net Shot of the Night here on the fifth quarter, 620 Rip City Radio. The Nothing But Net Shot of the Night is brought to you by Oregon Dungeness Crab. Sustainably harvested, uniquely delicious, and always wild. Oregon Dungeness Crab always sounds good for dinner.
Looks into the corner, but it's knocked away by Giddy. Is able to retrieve it. 3 seconds to shoot. Now Cam Reddish for three. Buries it, his first triple as a Blazer.
All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Fifth quarter, Thunder over the Trailblazers tonight, 138-129 at Moda Center. Portland will be back in action Monday at Moda, 7 o'clock tip against the Lakers. And with the loss, Portland now 27-29 on the season. We can talk about the news today surrounding Gary Payton II, his failed physical with the Warriors. We can also talk about Joe Cronin's press conference. He had a number of different things that he talked about in regards to the roster. In fact, here he is right now talking about how he feels about the roster here at the deadline.
A big thing I've talked about, I think, pretty much all season long and even going into this season was we have a lot to learn about this roster. And now we're north of 50 games in, and I think we've learned quite a bit. And one of the most profound things we've learned, and I think we assumed going into it, but we feel even more validated now, is that Damian and Anthony make you elite offensively. Pretty much any way you cut it, those two are so good that no matter what, we're going to thrive offensively. The last month, our offensive rating's been through the roof. I think they're really starting to settle in. So going into this trade deadline, and even before, we've been trying to do this, with the addition of Jeremy and some of the other guys, we're trying to support these guys with, real defenders, with real size, with real length. So we've been incrementally building towards that. I'll be the first to acknowledge that we're not big enough, we're not long enough, we're not tall enough, we're not defensive-minded enough. This is something that's going to be a continual push from us, and you'll definitely see me lean way towards that side. I think it would take quite a bit for our offense to break. So transactionally, we'll be really focused on adding guys that complement those two guards on the other end of the floor specifically.
Joe, if that deal ends up being rescinded, is there a spot for Gary here? Is he? Oh yeah. Back on. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, there's Joe Cronin talking about the roster. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Let's go out to the phones. Let's start with Ron in Salt Lake. Ron, welcome to the fifth quarter. What's up?
What's up, Chad? Hey, I just saw a Woj bomb that Cronin said that he would be willing to take away one of those second-round picks and throw in Festus Ezeli to just make this deal finalized, and it looks like that might happen. So,
yeah, another Festus Ezeli memory. That's nice.
Can you believe it? We're just getting all this crappy junk from the Warriors and have to deal with, Festus Ezeli and now Gary Payton. The thing about Gary Payton is, that kid in elementary school and junior high that's just a total goofball and on recess just acts like kind of just a dork, and he's never taken anything serious. He's just bouncing around and just kind of a clown. It seemed to me like that's how Gary Payton was always acting. It was just so weird from the very beginning, the way he was on the sidelines sometimes, not wanting to play. It was just such a bizarre situation. And if I was a reporter somewhere and really wanted to try and, make a mark or something, I would dig deep into this story as much as I could and really try to get to the bottom of it and report that. Because I'm fascinated to find. I'm with you, Chad. I think this thing doesn't smell right. There's just something weird, and I would love to know the truth behind it all.
Oh yeah, there's no question, and yeah, I don't buy into the report. Gary Payton II was, a real problem for the franchise, and they were happy to see him go. So I don't buy into the report, and we'll get more details as it comes out. But I think the deal will go through, and we'll see, if there's any other type of negotiations that have to go down. But I'm pretty confident with the Trailblazers and the way that they handled it. I find it hard to believe that they're going to hide information or lie about something in terms of the transaction. I don't buy that at all. 503-248-0620. Let's go out to Jorge, who's in Portland. Jorge, welcome to the show, the fifth quarter. What you got?
Hi there, Chad. Hey, I was wondering if the deal does get rescinded, what does that mean for the Blazers roster spot? Will they have to cut a player to make room for Gary Payton?
Well, they would, assuming that they were to take him back. But I really don't think that's going to happen. But, yes, their roster is full. So if they wanted to bring Gary back, they would have to make room for him on the roster and cut a player.
Who do you think would go if that happened?
I mean, that's a good question. It could be, they've got a couple of guys. I would say you could go with one of the youngsters. I don't know which guy it would be, but I just don't think the trade's going to get rescinded, so I'm not really concerned about it. Who would you like to see if they bring him back, assuming they would bring him back too? Let's say the trade's rescinded. Who would you like to see cut to make room for Gary Payton II?
I suppose the person that would make the most sense would be Winslow.
Well, I think Winslow would make the most sense because his contract expires at the end of the year, so his $4 million is going to come off the books, and he's not playing right now, so I think that would be a possibility.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see what moves they make.
All right, man, I appreciate it, Jorge. Thanks for the call. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Let's go out to Sean and Sandy. Sean, welcome to the show, the fifth quarter. What you got?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Chad. I was listening to Joe Cronin, and it sounds like we're getting back into we got two good guys in the backcourt that don't play defense, and they kind of try to bring in guys to play defense for them. And we had elite offense with CJ in the backcourt, too. Everyone said, oh, yeah, CJ and Dame, elite offense. Now we're going into the same deal. And you know what? You don't build around an all-star that doesn't play defense. And this is what's going to be happening in this guy's age. At 32 years old, this ain't never worked out before. In the NBA, you can't show me one example
Steph
of
Curry.
this ever working out.
Steph Curry,
not at 32 years old, they didn't build around him when he was by himself.
No, I understand that.
All-star.
Sean, I understand that, but if you want a blueprint for how to build around a guy that doesn't shoot great defense, it's got to be Steph Curry, because he doesn't defend well either, but they surrounded him with guys who defend. You got to have protection next to him at guard. They have that in, obviously, in Klay Thompson. They got Draymond Green. They had a rim protector in Andrew Bogut for a long period of time. You've got to have guys who can defend around him. Obviously, at this stage in Dame's career, it's going to be hard for them to get the roster around him to win a championship. There's no doubt about it.
He had Klay Thompson, and he wasn't a single all-star on that team. And we're not, you keep people keep saying the Warriors. The Warriors were lucky and rolled the dice. When you work through the draft like that, and you're rolling the dice all the time. Somehow, the Warriors did pretty good.
Well, Sean, let me ask you a question. What do you want them to do? Okay, you obviously have a problem. We know that they don't defend well at the guard position. So, what would you like to see them do?
Well, you got to build around somebody that's a two-way all-star. And we're talking about earlier today, when the Godfather was on here, and we finally said, and there's a group of people out here that have agreed, this is finally time to separate from this guy, as great as he is, and I know it's tough, but it's finally come to that. I mean, we can just keep going through this process, but this is that I'm not believing in this process of building around somebody that doesn't play defense. This isn't a process that you're going to show me that works all the time, like an easy way to do it. You look at all these guys that are really good guys out there, they also play defense. And I don't think too many guys want to come here and play third string and play defense for somebody that's the big star and get taken out to dinner once in a while.
Well, I understand what you're saying. So you want them to deal Dame. Is that what you're saying? Trade Dame.
Well, you're going to have to, it's better business. It's a lot better business, Chad, and it's come to that point.
Well, I appreciate it, Sean. I mean, that's what you want. You're not the only one. The Godfather wrote a piece on it today. But, I mean, look, we know that Dame's strength is not defense. And That's been the problem. They have failed to put players around him that can defend. Like I've said before, when he was playing next to Wes Matthews and he had LaMarcus and he had Batum, no one complained about his defense because you had proper protection around him. And that's the way it's got to be. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620.
All right, so I just talked to our guy. He was just trying to tell you.
Well, which guy are you talking about?
Our guy, Travis.
Travis
the voice
well, he called,
of the Trailblazers.
And I noticed he was calling, so I thought he wanted on the air. He doesn't want on the air?
No, he was just trying to tell you, and I'm sorry if I missed this. I would have corrected it too, but the phone lines that were lighting up like a Christmas tree is the Knox and all that. No one would have to be waived because the deal would be null. So, like, if the deal was, like, there's a spot open right now for Knox. It's GP's spot. So if the deal gets
that's right.
If the deal gets nixed, GP just goes right back into that spot.
So he was calling in to correct me then.
Yeah, that's what he is doing.
That's a Travis move.
The only thing that they had to do was the deal that brought in we're all going to learn how to pronounce it right, Archa Dianacco, or that was a lopsided deal, so they had to get rid of someone, and that was Greg Brown, who got waived and all that. So
okay, you're right. So if the deal is rescinded, it opens up a roster spot.
If the deal is rescinded, there is a roster spot open because it's a GP spot.
I just don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so either.
Highly doubt the trade's going to get rescinded. Will they have to negotiate, compensation? That's a possibility. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. So they may negotiate and have to come to terms on something else if the Warriors are unhappy, but I don't see the deal getting rescinded.
Yeah, and there's so many moving parts too with the 4 teams being involved. So, it's I think it's going to go through, and like we already said, it makes sense for Golden State to keep the deal. It benefits them in the long run, whether he plays this year or not.
Did you ask Trav if he thinks it's going to get rescinded?
No, he was in the car ready to go. He just calls in to correct his former co-host now and then.
Let's go out to Mike in Lake O. Mike, appreciate the phone call. You're up on the 5th quarter. Fire away.
Well, my favorite guy, Chad, I originally called in to correct you as well about the Knox deal, but I'm glad Travis beat me to the point. But
well, thanks for pointing that out.
I'm sorry about that. The thing about Gary Payton and the medical staff, I find it extremely hard to believe in today's day and age at how well the Blazers have pamper their players, take care of them. I don't buy for a second that the Blazers medical staff abused him. I find it hard to believe that. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't believe that that's the case at all. I don't think that happened. No way.
So why is Gary Payton saying this? Is he trying to throw a dagger at Portland?
Yeah, I think his agent is trying to do some damage control because of some of the reputation. His reputation took a hit on his exit out of Portland.
Well, rightfully it should. I've heard, I don't have evidence, but I've heard behind the scenes that he was not a very popular player within the locker room.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Anyway, Chad, I'm disappointed with the moves that were made. I'm deflated, defeated, and I'm going back into tank mode. So, in that, good night.
Victor Wembanyama, baby. Victor Wembanyama. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Let's go out to Rusty. Rusty, welcome to the 5th quarter. You're up. Fire away.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Rusty.
All right. I'm driving. I've called you before. I'm a professional driver. I'm coming out of Omaha. I'm going over to Denver and then into L.A. with circuit boards again, the boring old circuit boards. So now I don't get as much information as many people do, so I'm kind of in the dark here. But a couple of questions for you. How come this team plays beautifully for game or 2 or 3, and you'll understand when I say the following, and then they come out like a wet spring fart? What is the reason for that?
When you have players that aren't high level, you have a lot of inconsistency.
Well, they got some high level players there. That's what I hear all the time anyway.
They have some, but it's a roster that's in flux right now. So you've got Dame, who's terrific, Ant, who is a sensational offensive player. Grant's been good this year, but outside of that, you got a lot of inconsistency and an overall lack of size. And as you probably know in your business, Rusty, size matters.
Yeah, it does. If you're pulling 52, it's you can get a lot more in there, and if you're pulling 48 or 46 or 42, yeah, it makes a big difference, especially on your paycheck. And I just don't like the inconsistency that really bothers me. But that's one thing. Now what in the hell is going on with the Peyton deal? I heard you say Golden State saying he's hurt and they want their money back now. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a little buyer's remorse. He did not pass their physical. He played the night before he was traded, but he did not pass their physical, and they're claiming that the Blazers were not forthright in information as the deal went down. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, there's a lot of finger pointing going on.
So let me tell you. Let me get to cut to the chase on this one, okay? This is a little Midwest wisdom for you coming out right now. What Golden State, they know that Portland does not want him back, period.
Yes.
They know. They don't want him back. So we can just tell them, look, yes, he's hurt, and we need to shave down this trade a little bit in our favor, because they know Portland's not going to say, well, too bad, we'll just rescind the trade and get him back, because they don't want that either.
You're right. Yeah, they're negotiating. Yeah.
You break up with a girl that you don't like, and your buddy dates her, and then she's like, well, I'm going to go back to Billy. What's your name? You're Chad. I'm going to go back to Chad, but if the buddy knows that Chad don't like her, then why would he want to let that girl just say, oh, go ahead, go back to Chad then? See, that's what's going on here. Am I making any sense at all?
Yeah, a little bit, yes, a little bit.
Yeah, so it's just they're just playing us for fools, is all. They're just playing us like old country boy fools, and I don't like that at all. But listen, I gotta go. I gotta pull out here, so I'll see you in a while. I'll talk to you in a month or two.
All right, have a good drive there, Rusty. That's what it is, smugness. A little Silicon Valley money, smugness down there, trying to get over on the Portland Trailblazers. Let's go back out to the phones. Let's go to Tucker. Hey, Tucker, appreciate the phone call. You're up on the fifth quarter. Fire away.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for taking the call. Number one, I'm similar sentiments to the rest of the phone calls around GP2. Feel like the guy is just trying to save face, save reputation. I really, really, really doubt. And the Winslow tweet, while people may not read into it, tells me a lot. Winslow's been out for, 2 months? And he's like, I've been really well taken care of. I have no idea what GP2's talking about. I think the dude's to save face. I agree with that. And then
I agree with your assessment, by the way. Burkhart believes that the shot from Winslow was pointed at Gary Payton with the Kermit the Frog meme he put out there.
Yeah, which was great, by the way. It was great for Twitter fodder. I appreciated it a lot. Two, the glaring reality, listening to Cronin, I haven't listened to all of it, but the pieces where he is pretty much adamant on Dame and Ant being like the reason the offense is good. The problem is we already know what the offense is. We've had it before. We had Dame and CJ. We know what the peak is. I'm trying to figure out how trading Ant doesn't net you different results. Because even if you trade Ant and you get different guys, longer, bigger, they may not be the guys right away, but you're trading in a different stratosphere of players once you move on from a small guard. And I just don't understand why there's such a deep commitment to an undersized backcourt. And the Dame is too elite, but why keep Ant when we know what that looks like, when we can at least give Dame a different chance and a different look with longer guys, and maybe you move one or two of those guys, but at that point you're in a different stratosphere of what kind of players you're talking about. I just don't get it. I don't understand how we've landed on like Ant and Dame is somehow untouchable, Ant specifically, when we know he garners the most in return in a trade package.
Well, it's a good point, and I think what they could do come summertime, because if you listen to Cronin, they're clearly trying to position themselves to be able to go out and make a big move during the summertime. It could include Ant. If the right deal comes along and they got to move Ant, I think they would do that. I don't think that's their number one choice. I think it would have to be something pretty tasty, but you've also got Shaedon Sharpe. And if they decide to keep Ant, you can move Sharp. And, with the picks that they're hoping to accrue and the package they could have potentially during the summertime, if it's not Ant, it could be Sharp. If it's not Sharp, it could be Ant. I guess that would just have to depend on the deal and what's going to happen. But clearly, he talked about it during the press conference today. Not defensive enough. That's pretty clear. Not enough size. He knows that that's a problem. And those are things that are going to have to be addressed. Because if they want to be a serious contender, they've got to get more size, and they must get better defensively. They're terrible on that end. I mean, going into the day, 27th in the league in defensive rating. You're not going to sniff anything playing defense like that. Let's go back out to the phones. Let's go to Ken in Vancouver. Ken, welcome to the fifth quarter again, my friend.
Hey, Chad. Well, you know how I feel about people bad-mouthing Dame because he's a generational player and special, so I'm not going to go there. But
well, who was bad-mouthing Dame?
Oh, we know the same suspect. We know Sean doesn't like Dame. He says he does. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he's a wet blanket on the whole Dame thing. You know what I mean? He's never seen him. He talks about all-stars playing, real all-star playing defense. The majority of the all-stars.
Well, the good thing is, Ken, you don't have to worry because the franchise is not going to trade Dame. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know, but call me defender of the flame. The thing is we need Ant to play a lot better. He's been missing in action lately, and we need him to play a lot better because the bottom line is they aren't going to keep Dame and Ant. They need Ant to play well so he can go somewhere else and maybe discover something other than just being a shooter. And that's the asset that is the biggest part that we'll take to get something that we really need.
Probably.
Because Ant is not it. Ant, I'm sorry, Ant is not special. He's a nice player, but special should be showing itself, and it's not. It's not. It just is what it is. He's a nice shooter. That's what he is.
Yeah, he's a great offensive player, and he's in year 2 where he's had significant minutes. So he's young in his career. Remember, he's the same age that Dame was in year number 2. And this is also the second year where he's had significant minutes. Let's go back out to the phones. 503-248-0620. Let's go to Mike in North Portland. Mike, appreciate the call. You're up on fifth quarter.
I don't understand these Gen Z callers calling in saying, yeah, I know Ant's untouchable, but what if he wasn't untouchable? The fact is, he's untouchable. So let's talk about what we can actually accomplish with what we got. I think we got 3 more lengthy, defensive-minded players for 2 extremely small guards. I'm considering that GP2 trade done purely because Golden State saves so much cap money and they get their guy back, which they were freaking in love with. So let's just consider that done. We got 3 longer, more athletic, younger players for 2 guys and a second rounder. Let's just consider that a win, by the way. No, we're not going to win a championship off of it, but those are wins. I even like Kevin Knox. Sure, Kevin Knox. Have some minutes off the bench. That sounds fine. So let's kick the tires on all 3. Sure, let's give Cam Reddish tomorrow 4 years, $60 million, because why not? That's what we do. And then let's go out and find a power forward and maybe fall back in love with Nurk, because I think that's this team's ceiling. Or blow it all up and just get Victor Wembanyama. I'm out.
There you go. Victor Wembanyama would solve a lot of problems. That would cover a lot of sins. Let's go out to Trevor in Beaverton. Trevor, you're up on the show. Appreciate the call, buddy.
Yeah, I was at the game tonight, and I really liked the way Cam Reddish played. I think once he gets into the flow of the offense, he's got a real chance to be an impact player. I had heard rumors yesterday that Nurkic may not be back with the team after the All-Star break because it sounded like there was more to his injury than just the injury, and there was a chance he could be traded. I know I like Drew Eubanks, but he's not a starting center. I know he gave it his all tonight, put a lot of minutes in, but still, I think size was a big issue in the loss tonight to Oklahoma City. And for Drew Eubanks to be playing 36 minutes or whatever it was tonight, I think that's still too much for him. Why didn't they trade Nurk before the trade deadline?
Well, I think from what I was told, they tried to, Trevor, but, they just couldn't get a deal done. So they'll continue to look at that. In fact, you mentioned Cam Reddish. He had 11 points tonight, I think, in 17 minutes of action. Here's Cronin today talking about the new players that were acquired, in Matisse Thybulle and Cam Reddish.
First one was we did Josh Hart for Cam Reddish. Cam, really talented, 23 years old, 6'8", wing, handle, pass, shoot, solid defender. I think this environment's going to be terrific for him. I'm excited about Cam. There's not too many guys his skill set, size, and age that you come across, and I'm encouraged by, him being here, and I'm excited about the development that we can put him through. And he's gonna get some playing time, and I think Chauncey's gonna be good for him and empower him, and I think we're gonna see some good things.
What's your read on why it hasn't worked for him?
Yeah, I mean, every guy's path is different. This league is so difficult, and sometimes it's situational, sometimes it's just your development curve. Like, some guys thrive early, some thrive late, and some it's just they just need a different opportunity or a different role. So it's really all over the board. And with Cam, I think, it's definitely not a question of talent. Sometimes it's just a question of getting the right opportunity, and hopefully we'll be able to provide something that's more amenable for him that way. Other guys we acquired, Matisse Thybulle, flat-out elite defender. And, as you heard me talk earlier, that's something we're really emphasizing. So for us, Matisse has always been a target, and we were really excited to get him at what we thought was a pretty good price. So I'm excited about that one. Ryan Archidiakono, we've been wanting to add an additional guard. I think you saw like when we had some injuries early in the season, we didn't have enough guard depth, especially like head initiator, point guard depth. So Ryan will bring that. He'll bring, a stableness to the offense. He'll bring toughness. He'll bring, a pretty good skill set. He'll bring a great locker room presence. So we're excited to have just a tough dude that knows how to play. And then Kevin Knox, a little bit like Cam, where, lottery pick that has had some highs and had some lows and jumped around a tad. But again, another really talented guy who, physical specimen that can shoot the ball and is still developing. And I think our environments would be good for him.
Yeah, you're right. He's talking about Kevin Knox. They're not rescinding that deal. And the Warriors do love GP2 for some reason. Like, he works there, and Gary Payton II wants to be there. They're not rescinding the deal. Come on.
If you're GP2, why would you not want to be there? That they are the main reason you were able to secure the bag with Portland, because your career has not been great until you went to Golden State and found the perfect fit, perfect coach, perfect system to get the most out of you. To them, they milked it. They got all the juice out of that orange, right? So I'd want to be there too. It's just a weird situation how this is all going down. I do want to get your take though, because it's a hot take here on the YouTube chat. You and I talked about it a little bit, but Cam Reddish hadn't played a basketball game for 2 months, just got here, instantly gets thrown into the starting lineup. I thought that was weird. It's not that he looked bad. I did think he looked good for a guy who hadn't played in 2 months, and it wasn't because he was hurt. He was just out of the rotation. But man, that really, at least in my opinion, should have been Nasir Little or Shaden Sharp.
If I'm Nasir Little, I got to be frustrated, right? And now, I will say this. Nasir was terrible on defense tonight. Like, he had a lot of breakdowns and mistakes. But I just feel like, yeah, he punked those two guys, both Shaden and Nasir.
The only thing that bothers me when you mention how his defense wasn't great, and then Chauncey goes in and talks in the post-game press conferences about, defense this and defense that. It's not as if the team's defense is phenomenal and Nasir's bad defense is what's tanking it, or Shaden's mistakes is why they're 27th in the league.
There were multiple guys out there making mistakes, breakdowns defensively, not just Nasir.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would have put Nasir in, because one thing Nasir has done for them is, one, he's battled through and gotten healthy again. He's had to deal with some injury. But he's one of those guys where he may not execute exactly the way the coaches want him to all the time, but the guy plays hard. He's got a good attitude. I like him. And I like his skill set because he can shoot the basketball. So I would have given Nasir the start. Obviously, I want Shaden Sharp to get as many minutes as possible, but if you don't feel comfortable starting him because he's young or maybe you're not cool with his work ethic yet because he's still learning how to become an NBA basketball player, that's fine. But, yeah, Nasir, I would have given Nasir the nod. I was surprised. Cam Reddish doesn't know these guys. I think you put Cam in a position to fail, too, as a new Blazer because he's out there on the court with guys he's never played with before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he didn't look bad. You hope he looks good. You hope it's not like a Harry Giles, right? You know, go out there and you play a game or two, look really good, and then all of a sudden you just can't latch on again.
It could have been a situation, too, where Billups is just trying to send a message to Nasir, like, you got to step your game up.
Well, if there's one thing we've all gathered from Billups, he's very big on sending messages without, just taking the player out into the locker room and talking to him. He likes to send his messages via rotation minutes.
503-248-0620 is your telephone number. All right, let's keep things rolling here on fifth quarter. Good phone calls and interaction tonight. Blazers fall 138-129. They got outscored, had that bad stretch, 33-9 run for the Thunder in the fourth. They outscored the Blazers 70-42 in the paint. They shot 56% from the floor, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 44 points and 7 assists. Dame led the way for the Blazers, 38 points. Grant had 23. Simon struggled tonight, 3 of 14. It is funny how Ken in Vancouver, he defends all things Trailblazers, especially Dame, but he likes to bash Ant frequently. I find that bizarre. Is it because he doesn't want anyone to step towards or threaten Dame's mantle here in Portland? Is that what it is?
That might be it. He is the Dame defender. They send out the Dame signal. He shows up like Batman.
Ant's young. He's still developing. That's not an excuse. That's just reality.
Yeah, and I think he's good, but I don't know how good, and I still see, the Dame CJ backcourt in this backcourt, and that's frustrating.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Fifth quarter. Chad Doing and Chris Burkhart with you here on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for the Portland Trailblazers Drive of the Night here on the fifth quarter, hosted by Chad Dewing, 620 Rip City Radio. Drive of the Night is brought to you by Dick's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Wilsonville, ready to compete with the lowest prices in town.
Dame on the drive, the reverse, and banked it in. Damian Lillard getting it done all over tonight. He's got 17.
Was that a no-look shot?
Yep.
503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You've got the fifth quarter. We'll go back to the phones here in just a moment. Blazers going to be in action on Monday. Lakers will be in town. 7 o'clock tip from Moda Center. Let's get you up to date around the association.
The fifth quarter on 620 Rip City Radio presents the Scoreboard Report, brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, A-Lene's ultimate venue for sports fans every Monday night, featuring beer and wing specials and more.
All right, here's what went down tonight. A final and 2 overtimes in Detroit. The Pistons take out the Spurs 138-131. Jalen Duren, 30 points, 17 boards, and 4 blocks. Goodness. The Suns top the Pacers in Indiana 117-104. DeAndre Ayton, 22 points and 11 rebounds. In Philadelphia, 76ers over the Knicks 119-108. Joel Embiid, 35 points, 11 rebounds. In Boston, Celtics over the Hornets 127-116. Derek White, 33 points, 10 assists. In Toronto, the Jazz over the Raptors 122-116. Colin Sexton, 22 points, 6 assists. In Miami, the Heat over the Rockets, 97-95. Tyler Hero with 31 points, 9 boards, 8 assists. In Memphis, the Grizzlies, 128. The Timberwolves, 107. Ja Morant, 32 points, 9 boards, 9 assists. The Cavs over the Pelicans in New Orleans, 118-107. Evan Mobley, 28 points, 13 boards. The Thunder take out the Trailblazers, 138-129. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 44 points, 7 assists. Mavericks over the Kings in Sacramento, 122-114. Kyrie Irving, 25 points, 10 assists. De'Aaron Fox, 33 points in the loss. And the Bucks over the Clippers in Los Angeles, 119-106. Giannis, 35 points, 8 boards, and 6 assists. Milwaukee now 39-17 on the year. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Let's go to Forrest, who's out in Gresham. Forrest, appreciate the phone call. You're up on fifth quarter.
Yeah, I was listening to that game there, and I was wondering, I know Portland was up there. I don't know. I think it was shortly into the fourth quarter. Weren't they up like 6 or 8? And then I was wondering, don't good teams, like when they're up like that, a lot of times, to break that momentum of the opposing team, which I know, Oklahoma Thunder, had the momentum, I think, going shortly there in the fourth. But, I remember old good coaches like Jerry West, the Lakers, didn't they used to, call timeout, even if Portland was up 8, to kind of break that momentum of the opposing team, which they felt was coming. And isn't that pretty much the realm with Portland when we get to that fourth quarter? Maybe sometimes, like tonight, I thought maybe we were just either running out of steam or they just had that momentum going. And even when if we would have came down, and I don't know how many timeouts Portland had after that, but if we would have called timeout, after the Thunder would have been up another 6 on Portland or 8, after it turned around so quickly, I mean, wouldn't Chauncey Billups should have done something like that? I can't remember if that's how it went down tonight.
Well, first off,
and then the other thing I was going to say was, Portland, don't they need to kind of reinvent themselves with this team and this new roster now tonight? So I mean, I don't know if Chauncey, was probably trying to see what, and I do believe we made a good trade getting Redding, but I just thought maybe I'd call in to give your thoughts on what was going on there in that fourth. And I was also going to say that are we sometimes now going back into that mode of we call the funk, where Portland's going back into a funk in the fourth quarter, and we have to pull out of that funk and concentrate and get these players on the same track to be able to defend these great teams like Oakland can be a dangerous team like Chauncey knows.
Well, I mean, first off, Portland's not a good basketball team, so they're going to have issues like this. The Blazers led 112-103 with just over 10 minutes to go in the fourth, and that's when the Thunder went on their 33-9 run. The biggest issue really was sloppy play. 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter for Portland, which really sparked part of that run by the Thunder. And, the Blazers just could never recover for us. And that's really what it comes down to. The other problem, too, is, as we know, is size. They lack size on the floor. The Thunder were able to dominate in the paint tonight with 70 points. They didn't have anyone who could body up on Shea Gilgeous, who went wild for 44. So it was a combination of issues and errors for Portland, especially there in the fourth quarter. And what was the final tally on that? Yeah, they outscored them in the fourth 35-24. And that run was massive, 33-9 to put the game away. Let's go out to Mike in Northeast. Mike, appreciate the call. You're up on fifth quarter.
Hey, Chad, how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Hanging in there. About into my second beer, and I'm just got home from work, and I just want to run something by you guys.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility the problem with this team is the coaching staff? I just don't see things happening with this group.
Well, I think the coaching staff is struggling right now, but let me ask you a question. If Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson came in tomorrow and started coaching this team, how many more wins do you think they could crank out of this roster?
Probably not many, but I kind of long for the days of Terry Stotts. At least they ran plays once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest issue is roster. The coaching has not been stellar, but I think the biggest issue is talent. They lack talent. They lack size. They lack playmaking, and especially lack defense. And when you don't have players, it's hard to coach. You can tell guys all day long, do this, do that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this play or whatever. But if the guys can't, compete because they're undersized or they just don't have the talent, then you're up against it.
They're just going to waste Dame. I mean, this guy's an incredible player. He deserves more than what he's getting. I feel bad for the guy. The guy gets everything he has.
What about the fans that spend a lot of money to watch this team play? Don't you feel bad for the fans in Rip City?
You darn right. I do.
Yeah, so when everyone says Dame deserves this, I always think about, us. How about Rip City? How about the community that invests a lot of time, energy, and money into the franchise? They deserve better than this, right?
Right. And I think he'd want to celebrate that with everyone, too.
Oh, there's no question. Look, I think they're taking care of Dame, right? I mean, he may not have a team around him that can compete, but they've invested financially into Dame big time. So they're taking good care of Dame, but we would love to see them put a better roster together that can compete and have a chance to actually make it to the finals and give us one of those special memories. There's no question about it. Because here's the truth, Mike. Man. This team hasn't been a true title contender in 23 years. That's a long time.
Well, it's just been brutal watching this. It's just absolutely brutal.
No, there's no question, man. In fact, that brings up a point. Mike just brought it up. You're noticing this right now. The more so than we've seen in recent memory, Burkhart, but a lot of frustration within the fan base.
Yeah, this is kind of the most unsettled I've seen the fan base in, my decade of covering the team. Granted, there was a lot of winning going on too, but there was down times too. And I feel like even, going through the end of the Jailblazer era into the, the bad years before you got Roy and all that stuff, like this is pretty bad right now. It's like, you ever hear of, Berg and Korf, the old sports business terms?
Yeah.
That's what's going on right now.
Let's go to Rick. Rick, welcome to the fifth quarter. You're up. What you got?
Hey, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I just got off the train, so maybe you've already answered this question. Does anyone talk about Chauncey's rotations? Because it seems like guys don't have to earn playing time. They're given playing time.
Well, I think the big thing that we've noticed with Chauncey's rotation this year is that he plays his starters a ton of minutes, but he's been very irregular when it comes to his bench play in terms of what he's looking for, who he's going to give minutes to. And so I think, some of the bench players are probably frustrated because they're uncertain of their role. But I guess my question is like the problem is the bench is so weak. Like, what are the options, right? The bench play's been poor all year. It's there's limited options
tonight,
there.
For example. Let's look at tonight, for example. Who was having a better game, Simons or Sharp?
It was Sharp.
So why, when it comes down to, Sharp didn't go back in until Little obviously made Billups upset. Sharp should have been on the floor more. You can almost sit there in the game and go, all right, it's time for him to come out and him to come in. And it's time, they're almost to the minute of when he rotates his bench. And I just think, for me, the frustrating part is I don't think guys are earning playing time. They're granted playing time.
Well,
and
you got to keep in mind,
too, to play harder and rebound, especially the rebounding part of it. You know, if you're not going to rebound, let's sit. Let's play the other guy. I don't understand the logic on that.
Well, I think what it is, you got to keep in mind, too, that and Chauncey talked about this the other night, that, you know, the starters have earned the benefit of the doubt. So if they make mistakes or they're having a poor shooting night, he's going to lean on them even in situations where they've struggled a bit. But, you know, for bench players, they don't have as long of a rope. So they've got to go in and produce right away if they want to earn more minutes on the floor. I think it's not just Chauncey that does that. Most coaches are going to lean on their starters even on nights when they're not having a great shooting night or are struggling a bit at, you know, with one facet or another.
Yeah, I think the last couple teams that came in are, like, for example, the Bucks. You couldn't tell when someone was coming in or out by looking at the clock. But, boy, with the Blazers, you sure can. I mean, it seems like, I believe, Wednesday night's game, Sharp came in and had 7 points, 3 rebounds in his 6 minutes, and, boom, he's right back out. And, like, if the guy's rolling, let's give him a little time. Let's let him play. Let's go with who's got a little bit going. Have some gut instinct about who's playing.
Well, I think Sharp should get minutes and play, even if he's making a few mistakes, because I think that he's one of those guys who's going to be a star. You need to keep him on the floor so he can play through some of those mistakes and continue to develop and get better. So I'm all about Sharp getting more playing time. There's no question about it, because I think with more time, with his talent and skill set, that he's going to develop into a star-type player.
Yeah, and that's why I think you're hearing a lot of people talk about, you know, the trading of Simons. I think Simons is a really nice player, and I think he's athletic as all get out, and he can play. But he seems to me more like a prototypical sixth man. He should be like Jamal Crawford kind of guy.
Well, he's a starter, and he's paid as a starter.
Get a bigger guard out there with Dame. I mean, I think you start Sharp at his 6'6" and size, and he's going to rebound a little bit better. And let Ant come off the bench and pump it. I'm just curious, like,
he's not going to come off the bench, though.
Nice with no assist.
Hey, Rick.
That's some nice no assist.
Rick, they're not going to bring him off the bench. They paid him last year. He got starter money, and they're not going to use him as sixth man. They're paying him as a starter. And, of course, in that, you know, that part of that arrangement when he agreed to come back and sign with the Trailblazers was that he would be a starter, and he's getting paid as such. So you're not going to bring Ant off the bench. A lot of the argument was made when CJ was here. Why not make him the sixth man? Well, because he's making $30 million a year.
Yeah, I get the financial part of it. It's like I said, for me, the frustrating part is watching. I mean, like, I could sit in the arena and I know when the subs are coming in and out, and I was like, hey, let some guys go. Walker had a nice night tonight. Let him have a little more time. I mean, you know, we're not developing or learning anything if you know that I'm coming out at the 8-minute mark, no matter how well I'm playing or how poorly, for that matter, that you're coming out. I just think that would.
But here's the main reason why, Rick. The main reason why Dame and Ant get the majority of the minutes is because their offense is reliant upon Dame and Ant to make shots. And when they don't make shots, they're going to struggle to win games. They need those two guys on the floor to create and make shots, period.
Yeah, you know, but Ant doesn't create shots except for himself very often. I mean, I like the kid's game. I really do. But when he's not scoring, I think it's tough to argue that he does anything to help make this team better. Not a great defender, doesn't dish it well off the drive, doesn't rebound. I mean, he looks like a prototypical sixth man to me, that he can come in and light it up. And I understand the financial of it, and I really do. But I kind of wish at times we would not look at the money and let's look at trying to do what we can to win ball games without having to worry about people's feelings. And you know, let's play to win, and let's have a little gut instinct about who should be on the floor and who shouldn't be, instead of watching the clock.
Well, I understand. I appreciate it, Rick. I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to disagree. I just don't think they have better options to put out there outside of Ant. They're too reliant upon Dame and Ant to make shots. That's part of the problem with the roster. They need to score and hit threes to be able to win, and Dame and Ant give you your best chance to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty simple. I also argue, too, that you're in there with Dame. You're in there with Nurkic when he's healthy. You got Jeremy Grant. You had Josh Hart. It was all the team's best facilitators and guys who have gravity, who can get the ball out to Ant, whose best skill is what? Catch and shoot.
Yeah.
Who's going to Trendon Watford? Is he the stud that's going to be feeding the ball to Ant? I mean, the balance-wise, it makes too much sense to keep him in the starting lineup. And there's nothing about him even if he wasn't making 20 mil, that screams, oh, that's a bench rotation guy. He's definitely a starter without a doubt. I just question his overall fit within this team and how that plays out, but he's 100% a starter.
Let's go back out to the phones. Let's grab Brian in Southwest Portland. Brian, appreciate the call. You're up on the fifth quarter.
Chad, I had to call in. I love you guys, Burkhart also. But, I was thinking about a suggestion and some food for thought for the team. I feel bad for the fans, but I also think that the Blazers, they're now totally out of the playoff picture. I'm sort of a dreamer. I'm outdated. I love the Lord. But, I wanted to say that the Blazers, I think, if they're 16-1 after 122 points, and Chauncey Phillips is supposedly a defensive coach, he may need to perk up a little. But, I was thinking, they've won 16 and lost 1 over 122 points. I'm going to use my age and my mind here. He may consider going out and beating that other team. And I mean going after them. Even though they say he's a defensive coach, they're successful. Over 122 points. The fans deserve the best. I've never been a season holder, but I've gone to some games last 50 years. I love the Blazers. I miss Bill. But, it's just an opinion. But I do think, Chauncey, perk it up. And if that's the only way you can do it, go out and beat the heck out of those teams. And right now, Golden State thinks they're hot. And I don't know what happened to Gary Payton, too. But I remember Gary Payton, and he played like hell defensively. I know a little bit about basketball. Not a lot. But I played some sports in high school. And I ended up playing more in football because they didn't play me enough in the basketball. And I was on a city championship team. I won't go any farther than that. Years ago, and the school is no longer running it. But I will tell you this. Go out and win those games. If it takes 122 plus, go out and do it. That seems to be the most successful. The Blazers are 27-29. And take a rocket scientist. I'm not young. Let's get tough and go and do it. I suggested a few years ago that Myers Leonard could open it up back then, and he did. He ended up with 35 points before he got out of town for whatever reason. But I will tell you this. I'm going to cheer him on to possibilities. That means at this point they're 16-1 over 122 points. Go get them. And Chad and Burkhart, you're caught in the middle, in my opinion. And at this point, Cronin, I don't know much about him. But, I think he wants to do something. Give him credit there. I miss Stotts in some ways, but it doesn't matter. Right now, Chauncey's got some players that can play. Maybe they're the younger ones right now, more likely. And so work with what you got and go out and just give them, you know what. Love you guys. Let's go, Blazers. Bye.
Love you, Brian. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. Yes! Love the YouTube chat right now. Han is crazy. Why are people so resistant to the idea that they need Dame and Ant on the floor in the fourth to win games? Isn't that pretty obvious?
To a point. I mean, I get what he's arguing there. I mean, to having a coach needing to read the situation. Ant turned the ball over 3 times on one possession. Like, 3 times on one possession. It was unreal. Turned it over, got it back, though. Then they nabbed it away, but he got it back. Then he just threw it into traffic, turnover. He wasn't playing well, so it's funny. Again, this is where we always talk about, like, the leashes, right? Like, if Nasir makes that exact same play and basically loses possession of that ball 3 times in one possession there, timeout, subbed out, someone's at the scorer's table. But Ant gets that long leash, man. So I get what Han's saying.
Let's go back out to the phones. I think we could all use this guy right now. I think he's in Salem. Let's go out to Dr. Scott. Welcome to the show, Dr. Scott.
Are you there?
Hi, Dr. Scott. Good evening. Happy Friday to you.
Hi, my friend. My spotters have told me that you. Now, I don't remember if you work on the TV or the radio, but my friends have told me that you're very confused right now. And let me explain this to you, okay, from what my perspective is, and then I'll be happy to listen to the words you're going to tell me.
Okay.
When somebody tells me I'm very sad, or I'm very happy, or I want to not eat a tuna fish sandwich that my mom made me for lunch, I like that better than when they're confused. Because when they're confused, they can go a bunch of different directions, and all of a sudden, things get really scary. Because I don't know where they're going, and they don't know where they're going, and nobody knows where they're going, and it's very, very, very confusing. Like they're confused. Now, my father sent me a note that you said you're not consistent and you're irregular, and I only can help you so much. I can give you some medicine for the irregularity, but I cannot do the make it forever. So the consistency, you'll have to see a specialist about that. But I can help you a little bit with that, with the irregularity. Now, tell me, why are you confused?
Well, the reason why I'm confused is a couple of different reasons. One, I'm still trying to figure out what the overall objective of the Portland Trailblazer franchise is. Also, I'm trying to figure out why Gary Payton II got more money to come to Portland, did everything he could to get back to Golden State, and now he's crying foul with the physical and his situation with the abdominal muscle.
Wait. If you sat in my office for half of one day, you would hear the man who's going back to his wife, and the wife who's going back to the man, and then the next day they come in, and I'm not going back to the man, and I'm not going back to the wife, and then they're not sure, and then they have a girlfriend, and then they just want to start all over, and it's round and round and round. Now, let's be honest, and let me tell you something. I like that very much. Because they book many, many appointments, and they just keep coming in. They just keep coming in, and I just look and listen and look and listen. Oh, I'm sorry, the time is up. We'll have to continue this later. And here we go. Another $93.72, cash please, it's small bills, no insurance. So they just help me out by doing that, and I'm helping them too because they feel better.
All right, here's a question for you that came in from our YouTube chat. Matthew wants to know how many friends you have with you tonight.
2. I have 2. Let me explain how this works.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. I think he's got a lisp. Or is it a stuttering problem? I can't tell. Or is it both?
Oh, no, I didn't hear a word. I was too enthralled with the YouTube chat.
Let's go out to Victor in Turkey. Victor, my friend, what's going on? Victor. Victor in Turkey.
Who was it? Like, is he pulling a Brady Hoke on us? Like, you remember when Brady Hoke did a local radio and fell asleep during the interview?
He did. He might have fallen asleep. I've had a couple of people do that before. Blazer Ken fell asleep once. I went to him, and you could hear him snore. No, it was Michael, wasn't it? Yeah, we've had that happen before.
I don't remember. Phone's ringing. It might be him. Let's check.
Is that Victor? Victor, is that you? Victor?
Yeah, it was a satellite problem.
What's up? Oh, that's okay. What's going on, Victor? Welcome to the fifth quarter.
Thank you, Chad. Well, as I said, you have to ignore my. You see, I'm not a very fast talker. I do my best. So that, I know that caused a little bit of time consuming. But
you should come to Portland. You should come to Portland sometime and co-host the fifth quarter with me. That'd be fun.
Well, I mean, I speak few languages, but you see, when I went to college in PSU, my English was much better. Or even I had job in in America.
What is your best language?
When you have
what language do you have the best command of?
Azerbaijan is close to Turkey. They speak the same language. They speak the same language. They speak Turkish, kind of. Azerbaijan is next to, believe me, is next to the Ukraine. It's just next to the Ukraine. But I don't speak Russian, so that one I'm glad I'm not that part. But man, you wanted me to talk about the game?
Yeah, whatever you want to talk about. Trade deadline, Cronin's thoughts, the game, whatever's on your mind, Victor.
Well, I'm not very big. I'm not very, how can I say that, very intelligent as far as my. You see, I don't know, I have to go deeper in that. You see, when you compare, say, Turkish to Americans, it's so different that, so much different. The responses, I don't want to say they are dumb, but what I'm saying is that is an insult. But I'm not very smart like American, let's put that way. But I love sport, and I've been in sport so many years. The way I look at the sport is very different from some of your, callers. Like this game, that Chris mentioned about, dear Chris mentioned about Ann Simon. I know what is going on. I know exactly what is going on with Ann Simon. And I refer to Godfather because he is very intelligent and also he is very knowledgeable. You see, Godfather said a couple of weeks ago, he said, well, and someone, he would get a lower that 20 million. I was listening to Godfather. Most of the time I listen to you and Godfather. And he said, yeah, Godfather, he was unrestricted, unrestricted, that caused a problem, but he would take less money, and that's true. Because Aunt Simon is like a baby. He has a baby character. He's a sensitive guy. He's not like any other. You cannot even compare him to Sharp or something like that. Sharp is like a man. Even he's a young guy, but the way he looks, he reacts, he's like a big guy, but not Ant. And some guys they never get over the hump, or they never get old. Ant is like that. And right now, the coach, they have to work with him. Our coaches, they don't work with the players, In Turkey, when I was playing Turkey, the coaches, they beat us to hell. I mean, when they come before the game, they said, do or die, you have to if you don't win this game, we might fire you. We might even don't let you play anymore. But America, I swear, man. But you see, the difference is America, because they have so much money, and I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of players that are spoiled. You know, I mean, in Turkey, when if somebody win a championship, well, the manager comes and says, well, I buy you a used car. I buy the players. They don't give you $1 million, but they said because they didn't have many players, they don't have car. So they said, if you win championship, we're gonna buy you a used car or a second, a not very expensive car. The least expensive, the least cheaper car we buy for the players. And the players, they get so excited because they don't have money. But in America, because there's so much money, you know, 20 million, 40 million, whatever it is, it's going to reflect to the players. You know, the players, they slow down, you know. If somebody give me $1 million, I don't do anything. I just go on sit on the couch and watch television.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I'm with you on that. You're right. I think the players here are spoiled a bit. Maybe we should send the Blazers on a little Turkish tour to tighten up their defense a bit.
Yeah, and Chad, believe me, Chauncey, he's a nice guy, but he's not very tough. Like, you remember, was Mark Stein with the Utah Jazz, the previous coach was Mark Stein?
Yes. Yep.
You know how hyper he was? He was going back and forth, like, even you made fun of him. I remember one time you made fun of him. He goes back and forth like a player. He runs to the north, he runs to the south. He was so energetic. But Chauncey is not like that. But the thing is, I don't know off the court, but if he works on the end, he said, okay, we gave you a lot of money. Okay, that's fine. But we need you to score 25 points. You remember last year when he scored nine 3-pointers in a row, one of the highest, I think it was the highest 3-pointer in the Blazers in a row. He scored 9 3-pointers. And at that time, dear Chad, he was making $2 million. At that time that he made 9 3-pointers, he made two. Just, you know about psychology. That's a human psychology. When you give him too much leverage, too much money, 20 years old, he doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, I never was rich, but, as I said, in Turkey, if you give even 100,000, they're going to play so hard and they're going to, I mean, you won't believe how hard they play. But the coaches here, they have to work him in different ways, like put him on the bench, do something that they make him work harder and better. The Ant, 11 points, man, that, is not acceptable, No,
I'm with you. He'll continue to work. Ant Simon, Victor, is he's young and still developing. And I disagree with you, Victor. You're very smart. That's why I like it when you call in. You're very wise.
Well, I try because, one of the reasons, because I live in America for a long time. Believe me, when I was back home, I'm in Turkey, I wasn't, I was smart, but not to this point, but, and one of the reasons I call your show because you're so knowledgeable that when I listen to you, it's like I'm watching the whole game, like a whole NBA game, because you cover football that is unbelievable. Sometimes you cover football even more. I mean, more in details. And I don't know much about football, but when you talk about different sports, I mean, I think you are blessed, from a family or something that you're so knowledgeable, So I don't want to say you're smart because smart is understatement. And also Chris, I mean, your assistant. You're Top Guns. You're like a Top Guns.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. Chris is awesome. But, Victor, as always, you're always welcome on the show. I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk Monday after they play the Lakers, my friend.
Yeah, because I'm a Laker and a Blazer fan. When they lose, believe me, I don't wanna sleep. But when I talk to you, that makes me relax. Thank you.
You got it. Well, sleep well, my friend. There's Victor in Turkey. So what is the main thing? What's the main topic on the YouTube chat right now?
Apparently, everyone on the YouTube chat thinks Victor is also Dr. Scott. Some people believe that.
I don't think so.
Some people believe that Dr. Scott performed Gary Payton's physical. That's the only explanation as to
Dr. Scott performed his physical.
how it didn't pass. We're also talking about 80 for Brady, apparently, and
I want to see that movie. I like Sally Field. I had someone that watched it the other day, told me it was good. I have not seen it.
That person probably gave you a bad review. I'm not going to trust it. It's Space Jam with old ladies and Tom Brady. That's just a vibe I'm getting.
The next movie I will see in the theater will be Creed 3.
Okay, there you go.
That's the next one I'm going to watch.
Yeah, I'll watch 80 for Brady when it pops on a streaming service, when it's on Netflix or something. I'll give it a pass. You are right though. Sally Field is pretty awesome. People are debating her best movie. It's Mrs. Doubtfire. Don't come at me.
The problem is I just hate the Patriots, so it's hard for me to get behind something that celebrates Tom Brady. Like, I don't need that in my life. I love Sally Field, but I don't need the Brady story.
Yeah.
But I think it's loosely based off of a real story. Real ladies who were big Brady fans.
A lot of those.
All right, 503-248-0620. Blazers fall tonight, 138 to 129. We'll keep things rolling here on fifth quarter. We'll come back and hear a bit from Coach Billups. You can jump on board if you want. We're just cruising through a Friday evening here. Chris Burkhardt and Chad Doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
What's up, YouTube? How we doing? It's a long break. This commercial break is like 6 minutes long still, because we went long in game day. So, for those of you guys, let's turn that off. For those of you guys who know, we have to move breaks around, because they're all sponsored elements. But I didn't want to have you sit here for the next 6 minutes with nobody to talk to. So talk to me. Ask me some questions. Let's talk more movies. Kendall Jenner is the hot topic, apparently linked to our good friend Jeremy Grant, it sounds like, right? Okay, well, cool. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Kendall, is she going to start coming to some games or something, Kendall? Jazz up the Moda Center a little bit. Bring us some elegance. Get the stars out. Nick mentions that Sally Field was also good in Forrest Gump. Yes, she was. She's a very good actress. Very good actress. I'm just goading Miss Doubtfire because it's the best. Chris, have you ever gone to 808 Grinds? Ken, I'm an islander. If there's a Hawaiian joint in town, I've been there. It's just 808, no hose. That's where it's at. Bamboo Grove's dope. I go to a little K-bop, little food cart by my house. It's a Hawaiian Korean fusion. It's awesome. But yeah, if there's a Hawaiian joint around town, I've been there. Colby wants me to call Ralph and get him on. I'm not a creeper, Colby. I don't keep all your phone numbers when people call in. I just don't. It's not my jam. It's not my jam. I can confirm via the caller ID though that I believe it's Scott's idea here that like one guy is about 7 people is not in fact a fact. Nice try, though. Keep playing detective, though. You might figure out the puzzle. My favorite Hawaiian place here, oh my gosh, well, my kitchen, because unlike all the other Hawaiian places, my kitchen actually sells poi or makes poi. Like, I love when you go out to a Hawaiian joint and they don't have poi. Like, give me some poi, man. It's easy. The taro root, cook it, mash it up. It's simple. I'll pay money for that. But no, unreal. So that's a hard one to do. But no, it can change. Like I said, I hit up the one by my house a lot because it's easy, but I always loved NoHo's. Back in when I was in college in Eugene, they had a NoHo's Hawaiian cafe right there in Eugene. Went to it all the time. Fell in love with it. It was expensive compared to Hawaiian time. Everyone else tells me, oh, Hawaiian time's the best. No, it's not. Hawaiian time is not the best. Such a bastardized Hawaiian food. Yeah, just because you put teriyaki on your beef doesn't make it Hawaiian, you losers. But no, I'm a big NoHo's Hawaiian Cafe fan. Local Boys is great. 808's great. So, yeah, there's plenty of options. Plenty of option. Corvallis Local Boys, okay. Haven't been down to Corvo for that. Anytime I was in Corvallis, it was to cover a Beaver game, and then you get done at, like, 1 o'clock, and I just ordered Buffalo Wild Wings to go because it was guaranteed to be open. Kahuna is a Hawaiian word? That's a big kahuna. Bigga bugga. Bruh, y'all listening to the fifth quarter here on the YouTubes? Maybe. I should do an entire episode in my Hawaiian pidgin just to have some fun. Let's see what else we got in here. We got about 2.5 minutes left in this break. I like these long breaks. I get to sit and chat with you for a minute. I should do this more often. Ken says mahalo. Yes, mahalo to you. Aloha, brother. What else we got? Dr. Scott is Mr. Rogers with a wine bottle. That's a great one. That's a great one. Oh, Pita Pit. That's a college kid jam right there. Yeah, I hit that up when I was in Eugene all the time. Doko. That's the Eugene spot when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you need something to throw in there. Sue's making everyone hungry, dropping some Kahlua pork references. I make a mean Kahlua pork in the oven, though, so it's technically not Kahlua pork because it needs to be in the ground to be Kahlua, right? But do it in the oven, wrapped in a banana leaves. Oh, yeah. 5-hour cook on that bad boy. Delicious. Let's see. Jake would come out if I did some cooking. Big old Hawaiian festival. To 8 OG? No. I haven't heard of that one. Must not be that good. I'm just joking. It's probably delicious. If it's Hawaiian food, it's delicious. Unless it's Hawaiian time. That's it's still good. It's just not Hawaiian food. It's just call it teriyaki plate or something, because that's all it is. Oh, I'll give us rice and teriyaki beef. And they don't even do the beef anymore. COVID ruined that. They only do the chicken. I want no chicken. Colby, I can't call Ralph and get him on. I don't have Ralph's number. Told you. My phone does not contain Ralph's phone number. I promise you that. I wouldn't lie. Got nothing to lose. All right, we're about a minute back, but I think I'll keep talking, because why not? Why not? Nah, unfortunately, my Super Bowl day is not going to be cooking and eating or partying. I got work to do for my other job because I hold down multiple. So I'm going to be working all day, watching the game on my side screen. Probably on Twitter too much, so hit me up on Twitter. All right, fans, 30 seconds back. I got to go back to pushing buttons. So I'll be right back, and we'll be back with more fifth quarter in just a second.
The fifth quarter poster play of the night is brought to you by Collection Connection, the leaders in framing sports memorabilia, team awards, and so much more. Collection Connection offers you a one-stop, full-service framing experience. Find them online at COLLCONN.com.
Simons near center court. Holds on to it in front of Williams, and the screen comes from Trenton. Bounce pass back to Walker to the pick and roll.
Yeah.
The lob to Sharp with a two-hand error.
That's the Friday night hookup.
All right, fifth quarter, Blazers fall to the Thunder tonight, 138-129. And tough because it was a fourth quarter breakdown. A lot of turnovers tonight for the Blazers. A lot of issues. 20 turnovers, which led to 28 points for the Thunder. 7 of those coming in the fourth quarter. They were outscored 35-24 in the fourth and gave up a 33-9 run. Also, the lack of size, once again, an issue. Thunder outscoring Portland 70-42 in the paint. So a lot of wrong. My big takeaways from the Joe Cronin press conference today, one, I do believe after hearing him talk again that, whether he's able to get it done or not is a different story. But I do believe that they're trying to put themselves in a position to build something around Dame so they can make a run. He acknowledged that they lack defense and size, and they're clearly trying to upgrade in those areas. They are hoping to have flexibility for the summertime. I think the other thing that jumped out at me, too, was, that they're willing to consider the possibility of, moving into the draft lottery and focusing on that if that's the way the season plays out, if they go on a skid or a losing streak. And, for Cronin, it's tough for him. He's still learning how to, get more comfortable speaking in front of, the people. But, I believe him. I think they're going to try and build around Dame. Whether they can get that done is a different question, but that's where we're at. Let's go out to Mary in Southeast. Mary, welcome to the show. Hope you're well. Thanks for calling the fifth quarter.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call, Chad. Hey, this is what I got to say. GP2 stinky like poo. I am glad we cut our losses. It didn't feel good from the very beginning. It was like a mole plant almost into the team organization, and I'm just glad that's done. Done deal. Goodbye.
Yeah, you know what? It feels like it was almost planned the way that it all played out for him.
Yeah, it really did. I think that's cute about sharing the YouTube deal about the Salem doctor doing the physical.
I know. That's why he failed it. If Dr. Scott wasn't doing the physical, he might have passed. Everything would be okay.
There you go. Dame is probably one of the best things Portland, Oregon has going for it right now.
That's
true.
Let's
just take the franchise, the city as a whole. It's Portland is struggling. And, I get the business parts of the deal, but if he's gone, there's so many people, so many fans that are just going to be heartbroken, and he gives us something to look forward to, and gives us some hope. So there you have it. That's what I got. Go Blazers.
All right, appreciate it, Mary. You're right. That's Dame brings a lot. That's why the franchise, they're not going to move on from him. Because he means a lot to the team, to the business side, obviously to Blazer fans, and they're very leery of the fallout that would come in potentially dealing Dame. All right, let's take a listen to Coach Billups. Let's step into the coach's corner.
It's time for the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups on Blazers Game Day, presented by Henderson & Daughter. Henderson & Daughter has been supplying superior design service, quality windows, entry doors, patio doors, and window installation to the Portland and Southwest Washington area since 1977. Before you decide to just replace your current windows or exterior doors, have our designers present you with a free in-home design consultation and estimate to show you the different styles we carry that can give your home a fresh new look. Henderson & Daughter, your window and door experts.
All right, here's Coach Billups following the Blazers' 138-129 loss to the Thunder. And Cam Reddish, the newest Blazer who came over in the deal with the Knicks involving Josh Hart, got the start tonight at small forward.
We couldn't stop a nosebleed, man. It was really bad. But it started, at the start, really. And they're a tough team to guard. They really are. They play really fast. They drive. They lead the league in drives, and they lead the league in creating closeouts, and so they put you in some tough spots. But man, we couldn't ever get a stop. We scored with them pretty good, which I'm always scared of. When you just keep scoring and going back and forth. At some point, I said it at halftime. The first team that gets 3 or 4 stops is going to win the game. Said at the end of the third quarter, we were still in the same spot. 2-3 minutes in, we were still in the same. I said, we're still in the same spot. So we just couldn't. We tried it all. We changed up everything. We tried everything we could. We couldn't stop Shea. And then their team just played well together.
What do you think of what you saw at camp?
I thought Cam played well. You know, I was obviously going to play him between 15 and 20 minutes anyway. But I thought his minutes were good to have not known anything. I mean, we walked through a couple things for a few minutes before the game, or at 4 o'clock and whatnot. So for him to not know anything, I thought, you know, we seen some glimpses of some of the things that he could do.
All right, there's Coach Billups following the Blazers loss tonight. What was your feel on what went down tonight, Burkhart?
I mean, it is what it is. Oklahoma City has their number. They have their number. They're a young, talented team. Like Han was asking us in the chat, like, who's better right now? And here's the deal. Portland has the better superstar. SGA might not be too far behind. That dude is only getting better, right? But top to bottom, OKC's got a lot of young guys, a lot of depth, a lot of dudes who are hungry. I know you're not a fan of his, but they still got to be salivating at the fact that they got Chet waiting in the wings, right? A plethora of first-round picks, money to do. Like, they're in a good spot. They're in a good spot. So that was my vibe on this. I didn't like Cam starting. I would have liked that to be Nasir. You still could have got Cam Reddish his minutes, but maybe that's the long-term plan for him. They wanted to see what they got. But this one's tough. I think losing to a team like OKC, who's battling with you for position, getting into a play-in, all that stuff, on your home court, like it's just inexcusable. It's inexcusable.
I think the season series belongs to OKC now.
Yeah. So that's bad. That's not good. I also, to the point as we're arguing, like the up and down of Ant is kind of crazy. Like having 8 points one night, 10 the next, then he'll get his 20, and then he's back down. He needs to figure out what he's doing, and then everyone defends him, and not just the fans here, but Coach will defend him, Cronin will defend him, and it's obvious that the backcourt with Dame and Ant is elite. Yeah, that's great. They can go out and score. Scoring's not the Blazers' problem. Defense is. Oklahoma City is in the exact same spot as the Blazers, and what was the stat? They have the 3rd best offensive numbers in the NBA. So offense ain't their problem. They, as Chauncey Billups said, can't stop a nosebleed. They just happen to get a few more stops, a few more clots than Portland did tonight. So, and you got fans who are upset in our chat. People complaining about Jody Allen not wanting to pay the tax. Right now, it makes sense. It makes sense to not pay the tax this year, so you will actually have more money to deal with in the offseason by not going into the tax this season, right? And it pushes the repeater tax a year out as well. So it's going to help you in the long run. But if the offseason is truly where they want to make their moves, then it is all hands on deck, balls to the wall. You do not care about paying taxes. Golden State did not win multiple championships because they were worried about paying taxes. No championship team, no team who is a true contender worries about how much tax money they're paying because the revenue they're getting from making it to the NBA Finals and getting rings in a parade is well worth it.
No question. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. One other question for you. How do you see this playing out the rest of the year for Portland?
Bro, you got to take your spaghetti, throw it at the wall, see what happens, right? Like, I have no idea. I was team. I would like them to get into the play-in, win the play-in, and because if you go to the first round, boom, it doesn't matter, win or lose. Those picks that you have locked up right now are open, and you can wheel and deal, and that's good. But also, if you tank, that's good. You can get a really good pick. You're going to have 2 picks to deal with on draft night, which is going to be helpful. I just don't know what road they take. They got to pick one. As I posted in the YouTube chat earlier, right now they're living by the Yogi Berra mantra of when you come to a fork in the road, take it. They aren't picking a direction. They're just taking the fork.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to all of you for your interaction tonight on the YouTube chat, the phone calls. Really appreciate it. We'll have a lot of things to cover coming up over the next few days as things continue to unfold, and we'll have the latest on Monday. Game day at 4:30, tip-off at 7 in regards to the Gary Payton II deal. So thank you for everything, and keep it tuned into 620 for the latest on the Trailblazers. Your final score tonight from Moda Center, the Oklahoma City Thunder top your Portland Trailblazers 138-129. For Chris Burkhardt, I'm Chad Doing. Have a good night, my friends.
Yes!